Well, hello everybody. As you know, in one of my videos, if you watch all my videos, have almost run out of pepper spray, and that's what I spray my okra and some of my greens with to keep the bugs and the worms away from them. So I went out yesterday and I picked all my Hungarian hot peppers. I don't have jalapenos, which jalapenos work, they're the best ones to use, but I tell you what, these Hungarian hot wax peppers are just as hot as a jalapeno, maybe even hotter. So I think they're going to work just as good. So I'm going to go ahead and put these in a pot. I'm going to fill it full of water, and I'm going to boil these things all afternoon on a low simmer. I'm going to boil them until these peppers basically almost come apart, and then we'll bring you back and I'll show you what I'll do with it after I do that. But we're putting them all in there right now. I'm going to fill my pot with water. It doesn't have to be completely full. I've only got like half a pot of water here. Go ahead and turn it on and bring it to a boil. But this is great for all of the varmints that get on your okra and your greens and any of your plants basically, because you can spray your whole garden with this and it's not going to hurt it. And when it rains, it washes that pepper spray off, and you will have to repeat after it rains. But right now, I don't think we're going to get any rain anytime soon. So I'm sure when I fix this pepper spray and I spray my garden, it'll stay sprayed for several weeks. And like I said, you just give it a light spray. I will add, well, I'll tell you all that when I bring you back later, but right now I'm going to bring this to a boil. I've got to fix me a cup of coffee. But I wanted to get this going early so it has time all afternoon to basically simmer and cook and just cook those peppers all apart. Yeah, I'm back to using Folgers. I always use Folgers. I always keep Instant on hand, and I've got my coffee maker, and I've got ground coffee. But this morning I decided I wanted just a quick cup of instant coffee. No frills, no fuss. And I sometimes go overboard with the creamer. That's just original creamer right there. Sometimes I get the flavored Mocco chocolate, and you get, what is it, French vanilla and all different kinds of flavors. But this is just the original creamer right here. It does not have sugar or anything in it already. Yeah, and someone mentioned to me that they missed my sink, my little dish pan sink that I put in my sink. And I told them, I said, well, I'm probably going to be using it again, because if I wash dishes here and let it go down the drain, I don't have that dishwater to water the plants outside my front door. And they're going to suffer because, you know, they have been depending on the dishwater for me to feed them and water them. So I'm going to continue doing that as long as we have these water restrictions. So I will be bringing my dish pan back in my kitchen, and I will be using that from now on. I mean, just like this right here. Anytime you run water in your sink, if you have a dish pan there that's going to catch it, and you can just turn right around and water your plants with it just outside the door. And I've got quite a few outside my door. I hate to cover up my beautiful sink, but I'm afraid as long as we have these water rationings like we have, if I want to keep anything alive outside, I've got to save as much water as possible and get the best use out of it. That's probably about a half a pound of peppers. You can buy a whole pound of peppers, put them in a great big pot, boil them until they just almost are falling apart, and then you strain it. Put it through a strainer so you can put it in your sprayer. And depending on how many peppers I put in this to begin with, how strong I make it, you know, if I make it doubly strong, I can always add water, dilute it down a little bit, and it just gives me twice as much pepper spray. And that's usually what I try to do here. With the water I've got in here, I can add that much more water to this pot and fill my sprayer up with it. So I'm going to go ahead and bring this to a boil. I'm going to sit down over here and drink my coffee while my peppers are boiling and doing their thing. And I'll bring you back later and show you what I'm going to do with it. Well, y'all, I believe my pepper spray is done as much as I'm going to cook it for one day. It was getting awfully hot in here. First, there's a label on here. It's just distilled drinking water. But I'm going to write pepper spray. I need a bigger marker than this one. Let's see if I can find one that'll write a little bit heavier. Because I want to be able to see what I put in this thing, because this is going to be really hot. Hot pepper spray. Now I boiled it for several hours today. I've let it cool, because I'd rather work with it when it's cool than to try to deal with it when it's hot. First of all, you need a funnel and a strainer, just like this, to put over here, because you don't want any of the pepper pieces to go in there. Oh, it's still hot, y'all. It's not cooked quite as much as I would like it normally, but it's cooked, so I'm not sure if I want to use this small one. I don't think that's going to stay up there. I'm going to have to hold it regardless. And that's one reason I don't want to. Let's see. My measuring cup will work. Since it's still a little bit warm, I'm just going to pour it in there down through the strainer. Because I think that pot is too heavy for me to pick it up and try to hold it, especially since it's got hot pepper juice in there. See, now I'm getting a few seeds out of it. I get it a little bit lighter, I can hold it with one hand. And what I found, even after you boil it one time like this, and you pour the contents in your jug, you can put more water in this pot. See, I've got seeds left in there. You didn't want them in your sprayer because they'll clog up your, they would clog up your sprayer. And I can add water to this because I tell you it's extremely hot. Extremely hot. Yeah, that's all I'm going to add to that. But see my peppers in there? They're cooked kind of mushy. I'm going to go ahead and put more water in here. And I'm going to boil them some more. And I'll finish filling this jug up with it. Woo! You breathe it and it's hot. But that's all there is to making hot peppers. I breathed it. I breathed it, y'all. And for God's sakes, do not get this on your hands to get it in your eyes, because it will burn and it will hurt, I promise you. Because that pepper water is hot, hot, hot. And I don't mean heat-wise, I mean pepper-wise. So see, just after boiling that much of the water in those peppers, I didn't even fill the pot up. I could completely fill this up with water if I wanted to. And what peppers I put in there was about half a pound maybe. It will give me a whole gallon or more because I'm still boiling peppers. But you just pour that in your sprayer, that right there, and spray your greens, spray your okra, any of your plants that the ants get on, and I'll guarantee you it will. The ants will disappear. I'm liable to even spray this around my house, around the edge, because, you know, if it's not going to rain, that pepper water will stay there even though it dries, and it'll keep the ants away from my porch and around my house. I'm just going to put it all over my garden. Yeah, I'm going to give that another boiling, because just filling putting water up to there in those peppers, the water is already darkened, because you can see there's still more hot pepper spray in that pot with all those peppers. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to boil it a little bit longer. I'll strain it, put it in this jug, and I'm going to, tomorrow probably I'll fill my my sprayer up, and I'll start spraying everything with it. But I'll guarantee you, you will not be bothered with little varmints after that. The ants will totally disappear. I sprayed my okra one day, and I'll tell you what, the ants were devouring one of my okra stalks, and it was as high as my head. I sprayed it with this. In 5 minutes, the ants disappeared. I went out there the next day, there was no sign of ants. And my plant actually started growing like it was happy. I mean, you could tell the difference in the way it started growing all of a sudden, because the pests were not gnawing at it and, you know, bringing it down. So there you go. If you want some hot pepper spray for your garden, basically any really hot peppers will work. Jalapenos are the best, but I didn't have jalapenos in my garden this year. All I had was the Hungarian wax hot peppers, and I'll guarantee you they're just as hot as a jalapeno, if hotter. So I think these will work just as well. So with that, I'm going to bid you a good day. Y'all have a blessed day, and I'll see you on the next one. Love y'all. Bye now.